Hey, good morning from the office. I'm your host, BKP. We are North Georgia's only live online morning show. And before we bring in our first guest this morning, we have on the line, just give you what's going on here. At 9:30, we will have Georgia House Speaker David Ralston will be joining us talking about the 7th State District along with the state. At 8:45, Joanne DePlanky will be joining us, and we're going to discuss the stock market, how broker trades take place. She's going to bring a lot of information on that. And before we bring in our first guest this morning, Destiny, can you give me? I think it's number 10. Is that what it is? Number 10 there. Can you give that to me real quick? No, I'm sorry, my mistake there. It's the one showing the report from the CDC this morning. There you go. That is the number of cases reported this morning as of 7 o'clock, and the number of deaths, 25 in Georgia right there. So our first guest, Congressman Doug Collins. Good morning, Congressman. How are you?
I'm great, Brian. Hope y'all are doing as good as you can under these circumstances.
We are, and as many as our people as possible, we've asked them to voluntarily self-quarantine. We want to be a positive and be able to do what we can as the president has asked. We want to stay focused on the 9th Congressional District. And that being said, let's start with I guess what's going on. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said House Democrats plan to introduce their own legislation, saying there were big differences between what her caucus wanted and what the Republicans were proposing. And second on that, Congressman, a lot of people are wondering what's going on. The stock market again has hit the open futures trigger as it's going down. Because Republicans did not Republicans. There was not a bill passed last night. A lot of people are asking, where are we at on this? And what is that big difference that Nancy Pelosi says?
Well, Brian, the big difference is this. There's two areas of concern. We need to run a fine balance between the fact that this is not a misappropriation of business. Businesses out there who are suffering right now did nothing wrong. This is about a virus and a contagion that the government is having to treat in a very radical, and very aggressive way. In fact, keeping your, working from home, doing the teleworking, staying away from business, no more gatherings more than 10 or others, or in some cases where it's really bad, where they're just sort of shutting it down altogether. What happens, though, is businesses are the one, and our economy is also suffering. So you have a twofold problem going on. You have a health issue, which we've got to do this to keep us from overwhelming our health resources, our healthcare resources, which is what you saw in China, which you definitely saw in Italy, which you're seeing a little bit of in Spain. If we keep our numbers on a slower trajectory, then our healthcare system can keep up, and we're not in a crisis mode of people dying without resources. The other issue, though, is in the bigger picture, which I think the president and Secretary Mnuchin and many others are focusing on, is how do we sustain businesses who can't make a payroll, who can't put out, for your folks like yourself, who are great independent businesses, who now it's a struggle because of the folks are just not being out and about, but also restaurants, truck drivers, other folks, not only our small business, but our independent contractors. So the package that was put together, had issues in there for small businesses, had a lot of money to prop up the lack of revenue in many of these businesses. But what we're seeing and what it sounds like from the Democratic perspective is it didn't feed a lot of their pet projects of understanding unemployment insurance or taking advantage of a situation. And I think that's the sad part that we're dealing with right now, is some of these things that we're actually proposing are things that could never pass on their own. So hopefully we'll get Mitch McConnell and the Senate will get to that. We'll get to an agreement maybe today or tomorrow, and we'll see if they can move forward on this.
Well, Congressman, you're right. It is a virus. It's not an economic slowdown by any financial means. It's a virus. So the president says the economy, and I'm going to agree with this, is when we can work through the virus and get back to work, that it's ready to go back to work. And don't we need things to when I say stir the economic engine to turning again, as opposed to some things? One of the things that's proposed is 4 months of full pay unemployment insurance. I mean, we need those people back to work. We don't need them sitting on the sidelines once they're available.
Yeah, again, some of this is the frustration point here, and what we've done, and we've been on contact and phone with the administration, we've been on phone contact with our state officials and local, but mainly I've been on the phone with a lot of business owners and others. The issue is don't feed us forever, just give us a fish today. And I think if you would put it in a simple analogy, we need to cover the problem as it exists, make sure these workers and these businesses can maintain a payroll, that they don't go on unemployment insurance and live on unemployment insurance. Because what's happening is, especially, and I'll use an example, in the truck driving industry and others where right now they're mainly independent contractors, or if they're employed, if you go on a longer term or a prospect of a fully funded unemployment insurance, then what's the incentive for these folks who are exposing themselves to danger every day, who are traveling across the country, who are delivering our food supply, who are working in, these other areas, ag and other places, for them to go to work if they could stay at home and conceivably say, I'll just stay away and self-quarantine so I don't get the virus. There are a lot of issues right here that we need to work through, and what we don't need to do is expose people. We need to take these safety precautions measures so our truck drivers and others can do what they do, and so our businesses, our restaurants can continue to go and deliver food to people. But we don't need it to where it becomes a long-term economic crutch in which the government is, in essence, taking over the handling of a lot of these businesses. We saw that, unfortunately, coming out of 2008. We don't need to repeat the same here.
Well, Congressman, let me say, and I want to get into the healthcare sector of the 9th Congressional District, but before I do, just on that, we're hearing a lot in a plan of, slowing mortgage foreclosures or stopping them, and we're hearing unemployment insurance and things of that nature. But most of us out here understand equipment is not traditionally financed. A lot of your traditional banks do not finance equipment. So I guess the only way to say it is, a guy without a delivery truck is out of business. A pizza parlor without a pizza oven is out of business. So there's things like that I'm just saying, I don't know what this package looks like, but I'd say as a small business, much like mine, my studio equipment and so on, those are the things we're thinking, hey, is somebody looking out? The only way to put it for us.
Right, and that's been my focus and my concern this whole time. Larger businesses and others, have ways to, that they're going to be, people understand those are real jobs too, and I'm not diminishing that. But it's also what I've tried to also focus on is these underlooked areas to make sure that we're taking care. Because what we don't want to have to go back to is think about it. If we have a situation in which we can't keep our local businesses and our small business, our restaurants, our, service industries and those folks going, if we come out of this in a few weeks, or a few months, whenever this is done, which we will come out of this, are those folks going to be around to even be in business? And I think that's the concern that many of us have right now, to making sure that the relief is targeted to do the most good. And hopefully that's what's going to happen, and it not become a more of an intellectual exercise on, the prospects of an economic concentration by the government.
I want to make this comment to you as my congressman, and I appreciate you coming on the show. As my congressman, these things we have talked about in the past, but I just want to emphasize, backbone is the small business is the backbone of the country, and pretty much all the small business owners I know, we treat our people like family. That's how small business works. And actually, right now, as we're seeing our family of 10 employees, 20, 30, or whatever, that are struggling. So that's why I just want to appeal to you as my congressman to keep us in mind. And I'm for sure you will. I just wanted to make that statement.
Well, we are, and I think because it's the vast majority of businesses. I mean, you think about the ones that impact, that we deal with every day. These are the kind of things that we need to keep in mind, because we will come out of this. People will, I think, respond to what's going on the state level and the national level, and we're going to come out of it. The question is how we come out of it. Are we going to be in a position to thrive? Or are we going to be in a position that is going to be a drain on this economy? I don't want to see anything become a drain on this economy. There's a vast measures that need to be taken. There's unprecedented measures to be taken that would not be taken in normal times. But this is a time in which the government itself is telling businesses and telling people, stay away from the economy. The government cannot withdraw from its responsibility at that point to say, how do we then help make sure this economy survives? And we look and do it from a most conservative perspective.
Well, Congressman, for the most part, small business, we don't really ask for something, but we ask for an opportunity to come back. And like you said, we were asked to step aside from the economy. let me say this. What say you about some of the things as far as when we're hearing in press conferences, stock buybacks, bailouts for the auto industry or the airlines and so on and so forth? How are you guys managing to make it not quite a bailout, but bringing all businesses back into the economy to go forward?
I think those are the kind of things that we're needing to see in this bill. And again, that's the process that's being worked out. It's unfortunately being worked out right now with the Senate and the Democrats there, and also with Nancy Pelosi weighing in which she would have to, because from the House perspective, the part that we need to make sure of is, again, is what I said earlier, these targeted, these economic helps do not need to be a long-term fix on something that legislatively you could not get through. These need to be fixes in which you do, as you said, give businesses opportunities. Make sure, let's see if we can, help a small business owner have the money to pay their employees without having them go on unemployment. Make sure that we can give them a bridge to make sure that that can actually happen. Those are the kind of things that are important, because we're going to pay for it one way or the other. And I think that's the question that needs to be satisfied, is how do we do this in a way that protects those small businesses, protects those nest eggs, protects that, those folks who've been doing it right, and not simply providing a way for businesses to profit in a way that is not affecting their local, how they would be doing it if they didn't have this, package of stimulus, or however you want to put it. We need to make sure the workers and the jobs are getting done. And the airline industry is being hammered. Our hotelier industry is being hammered. There's a lot of things being hammered because people are not moving. But we don't need to make it a situation in which it is simply put there to make them better without addressing the underlying problem. So we'll see how that comes out over the next.
Congressman, let's wrap up with our healthcare providers here in the 9th Congressional District. There's several cases in Hall County. I think one in Lumpkin this morning, one in Dawson reported, 2 in Pickens County, and I don't want to leave any out, but there's several cases in our district, in the 9th Congressional District. Have you been in touch with hospitals, medical providers? Are they getting the equipment they need? Are they getting the masks? The things that the media wants to portray are not working? How's things going in the 9th Congressional District with our healthcare providers?
It's going okay. I won't say it's great, but it's going okay. I have been in contact with hospitals and EMS providers and others. They are getting, they are having equipment. The communities, and this is something that would be encouraged for all of our communities that are listening to us this morning. If you have masks that you don't need right now, give them to your local hospitals. Give them to your local EMS agencies. Masks, gloves, those kind of things right now that all help. We all pull together during this time. So look, we've been fortunate so far that we've been able to keep the curve down. I think the measures the president has asked for in the 9th District and the governor have asked for are working. And, to at least keep the curve lower. Remember, Brian, I think for everybody who's listening to this, we're not saying that this is going to just automatically overnight shut down new cases. But what it does do is keep the new cases from quadrupling and tripling to where it would overwhelm our emergency rooms and overwhelm our hospitals to where they could not take care of those who are in desperate need. We need to keep this curve low. We need to keep it steady, and so that it then will begin to turn the tides toward lower cases and fewer cases. But this is the part we're looking for. We're not looking for tomorrow it all being cleared. We're looking for a time in which it doesn't hit the medical response, in which it overwhelms our hospital. So everybody pulling together can help. Right now we're okay, but that could change tomorrow. Albany has been hard hit in South Georgia.
Yes.
And it exploded just in the last few days. So these are the kind of things that people need to be concerned about, but do it in a controlled, realist way. And that is, if you got supplies of businesses, construction, others, I know the president and vice president talked about this. If you have those things, let them be used by others. Give them to others right now so that they can use them to keep us all safe.
The president's done a very good job in my book, every single day coming out and addressing the American people and talking to us instead of hiding. He's come out and done that press conference. You got a final statement or anything you'd like to say, Congressman, to the nation or the 9th Congressional District, which both?
I think that to everyone is keep the faith. This is a tough time, and there are struggles during tough times, but there is always the hope of tomorrow. And keep up doing what is being asked of you. Keep the social distance. Small business owners, know that people haven't forgot you. For employees, know that people have not forgotten that this is going on, and that the best thing we can do right now is stay safe, keep our health, because this will end, and we'll be back to doing our businesses and our families and our schools and our sports and everything else. But right now, we just need to stay focused and not grow weary in doing the good things that we know that actually work, because they do have payoff.
Well, we know how busy you can be battling what my words against Democrats on some days or most days. So we know you're busy, and we wish you safety, and everybody up there in Congress, actually, we wish safety to them. Have a nice day, Congressman. Thank you for always coming on and sharing with our audience.
No problem, Ryan. Y'all have a great day. Take care. Be safe.
Okay, folks, my first guest there, Congressman Doug Collins. We're going to get this right out on the internet ASAP, get it uploaded so you can share this with friends. We wanted to stay focused on the 9th Congressional District. We did not get into anything where campaigning is concerned. We don't feel it's appropriate. So if you're out there right now and saying, why didn't you ask this? Why didn't you ask that? Right now, campaigning is not what we're supposed to be doing. Is we're supposed to be helping our country do the most we can to combat this virus, to come back out on the other side, and we will. I'm going to take a brief break, and when we come back, we're going to spend a little time talking about the people that are negative out there betting against America. I'm your host, BKP. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hey, folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. We're North Georgia's only live online morning show. I want to thank Congressman Doug Collins for coming on here. Let me just say this. Let me give you a little highlight here on Fetcher News, FYN, what we are doing. I believe in having faith, and I don't want to say faith in my federal government. I want to be careful with that. But I believe in having faith. And first of all, as I expressed as the CEO of FetcherNews.com, as I expressed to the congressman, I want an opportunity to talk to him as my congressman. Small business owners treat their people like family. They just do. They get to know them. I know all of our people. Okay, I know husbands, boyfriends, girlfriends. I know how many kids. The little things, and we become, in small business, we become families. And this is tough on any small business owner on so many respects, because the people that are trying to make their mortgage, and the people that are trying to make the car payments and pay their insurance and buy groceries. Them. They're just not checks that go out. Now, I understand. Let me get straight here. This is not an economic slowdown. This is a virus. So the economy is out there waiting, and we definitely can get this up and running again. Okay. But that being said, the Americans, I get it. We have corporations. We're going to argue over bailouts. We're going to argue over Boeing. We're going to argue over Delta. We're going to argue over the hotel industry. We're going to argue over the cruise industry, and if they're even paying taxes in the United States. I get it. I understand that. It's concerning to all of us that we're looking at trillions and trillions of dollars. Okay, I get it. But I want to say this. If you're out there, what you need to make sure of, and I mean it this way, is that small business gets an opportunity to come firing back, okay? And that you don't lose small business to massive corporations that swallow up the market. And when I say this, I watch this, it always concerns me. It's like a winter to get rid of, insects. And it's the only way I know how to put it, okay? This is like a winter. I have seen winter several times, and what happens is small business falls, and usually there's no way to come back because there's no financial institution wants to bet on that small business again. That's why, being a virus, this is different. There's a possibility. But what I'm getting at is small business falls, and then major corporations, bigger banks, bigger this, bigger that, come into the area and fill the void, and you have less small businesses. And we got to go through another 9 or 10 years before people start venturing out to start small business again. Now, if that was a little convoluted and wasn't clear, I'm sorry, but that's how it works. And that's why I'm stressing small business. These people that have 500 employees, 1,000, 10,000, the checks go out, they never meet them. There's nothing wrong with that. I understand that. But for small business owners, we know the people and their families, and we are family. And it pains me because I don't know how to say Congress needs to help me. Congress needs to help you, because that's not how we think in small business. We're risk takers. But if the economy comes back and comes roaring back, you can't just buy consumer confidence. It has to come back naturally. And that's in small business, to take a risk on America. So we found out over the last 4 weeks that we definitely need to put our manufacturing here. I will say eyes wide open. The other thing I want to say, FetcherNews.com, and I don't know what you're doing, but we have asked our people to voluntarily, self-quarantine. Okay, we're an internet business. We can keep up with what's going on through the phones and through the computer. We can keep up with the latest news, and we're trying to bring that to you. So we have asked our people to self-quarantine if they're able to, okay? We have told all of our people they're not to go out on an assignment publicly anywhere without getting it approved. Now, I'm not saying I would approve the assignment, but if somebody wants to go out to do an assignment, I have to approve it before they go out. The other thing is we're making sure, like I said, to do what we can to help. So we're bringing you information. If you check FetcherNews.com, we're bringing you information. Now, last week, I want to apologize. I generally don't do this, but this is different. I want to apologize if you felt in any way last week that we were fear-mongering or we put out fear. We got a couple messages. If you have a case, we made a decision early on not to report presumed, because people in this time, we shouldn't panic. Now, I just want to say, like, we should not panic at this time, okay? The president is doing an amazing job every day. He works 7 days a week, this man does. He's doing an amazing job coming out every day, staying optimistic, keeping hope alive, going in the right direction, putting the professionals in place, putting everybody up front. So if anybody has any questions, now we do have the media that is trying to destroy this country, and that's my opinion. They've been trying to destroy this country on, and they're not passionate, and they're hopeless. Let me say this. All right, let's get this clear. Okay, give me number. I don't know if I have it, but I don't think I have it. But let's go with, yeah, let's go with number 24. Okay. This is how despicable the media is. Let me be clear. Okay. First, the other day, the reporter from NBC, wanted to, scare Americans, and Trump said, the president said, you're a terrible reporter. You are absolutely terrible. There has been Senator Rand Paul has tested positive. We are concerned. They are concerned on who has been around who in the Senate. So Mike Lee, Senator Mike Lee from Utah, and Senator Mitt Romney are self-quarantined. They are not. They're not positive. They're self-quarantined. Okay. The reporter knows yesterday. Now it's sad when you're sitting in that room and you're looking for a soundbite. The reporter knows yesterday, right, that the name Mitt Romney, don't forget, we're right off the heels of impeaching this president of the United States, and Romney, Republicans, we have nothing for him, okay? They knew if they said Mike Lee and Mitt Romney are self-quarantined, that the president would say something. They knew that. They wanted the soundbite, so they're playing the soundbite. Look at the bottom there, the soundbite. That's what we focus on, media. Well, Mitt Romney self-quarantined. Trump, he tried. I got to give my president, he tried. He said, tell me that again. Mitt Romney self-quarantined. Gee, that's too bad. Sorry. He, you know what? It was like, and they did it on purpose to get the soundbite. Okay. So here at FYN, our policy is to report. So we apologize if you feel any fear mongering from our news network. Our policy is to report positive cases. Okay. Our policy is to report government closing, open. Our policy is to report if somebody is open, an essential truck drivers, man, they got to have a meal and somewhere to go to the bathroom, or you're not going to get toilet paper on the shelf. Okay. So if we could be of any help bringing information, put our number up there and our email address and things like that. If we can be any help bringing information, we are going to report cases, and we are not reporting presumed. Now, here's what I've been told by healthcare professionals. I had a call into one yesterday, and we had healthcare professionals on our show Friday, Meet the Doc, with Dr. William Whaley and Raymond Tidman. you need to have symptoms, and the symptoms are, you know, your head starts getting dizzy or something, your chest, fever. It's very clear. The symptoms are on the internet. You can check them quickly. The CDC has them. The Georgia Department of Health has them. The symptoms are out there. If you go to the CDC, there's a big button that says symptoms. Now, they do not want you to overwhelm the healthcare system. They do not. If somebody, this is my opinion because this is what I'm reading, okay? But if somebody that you know that you were with 3 or 4 days ago now has tested positive, okay, you need to immediately, my opinion, and I'm reading it also, but you need to immediately self-quarantine. See, that's the thing with the number right now. We don't know how many Americans. It's getting pretty close to almost all of us in some areas like Georgia, the hot spots. It's getting pretty close to we were with somebody or around somebody that tested positive, okay? I personally know somebody that was with somebody in Atlanta and found out 2 days later or something they tested positive. They had to go into self-quarantine for 14 days. And as I understand at this time, have no symptoms. So if you have symptoms, you call your doctor. You call the health department and you say, I have symptoms. Here's what I have. They will schedule your test, okay? Don't buy into the media hype screaming about all of this stuff. Go, they will give you a test. But if you were just around somebody and you don't have any symptoms, self-quarantine. And now, as of this morning, number 9, okay, we got to get ready to get our next guest on here at 8:45. As of this morning, number 9, in Georgia, there's 620 total cases, 25 deaths. Okay. Now, give me number 3. Now, this is from Johns Hopkins, a daily run. This was as of 7 o'clock this morning. As of 7 o'clock this morning, there was 341,722 worldwide cases. You can see China leading. Sorry, no disrespect, or leading. China has more death, 81, but you'll see down there the U.S., I mean cases, not deaths. Back up. The U.S. is up to 35,000. We're behind Italy now, 224 cases. Now, we were told last week once testing started and more samples were coming in, this number would spike. So let's not get alarmed at seeing 35,224 cases. Now, the other thing that I want to bring in is, here is number 4, okay? Right now, number 4 is showing 14,765 total deaths worldwide. Let's keep in perspective. There's about 500,000 worldwide that died of the flu. Now, are we getting in front of something very, very dangerous? Yes, we are. Maybe much more dangerous than the flu. Very possible. We got to rely on our healthcare professionals. As you can see, there's 98,869 who have survived. Now, go back to number 24 for a minute. All right. And we're going to get our next guest in here. And, when people like Joe Scarborough and pieces of garbage like that say the entire country is flying blind, when de Blasio, the mayor of New York City, Larry Hogan of Maryland just ripped him apart. You're lying, point blank lying about our president and saying he's getting no help. All right. And people are on the news networks. Joe Scarborough said the man does not have the mentality to take us through this crisis. Let me tell you something. The American people feel he do, and the American people knows he loves them and cares for them. I'm going to take a little break, and when I come back, let me do this. When I come back, we're going to talk about betting against America. Let me tell you what we're going to do from 8:45 to about 9:10. We'll see how long we go. Number 2 there. Put up number 2. Now, Sprecher, is that his name? Sprecher. I don't know if it is Jeffrey. Okay. And, you know, he is the CEO of the New York Stock Exchange. Yes. She is the wealthiest member of Congress, Kelly Loeffler. They sold stock. You see, let me say this, okay? Okay, let me say this. I want to put it just in this way. Americans, stock market is opening down again, okay? The trigger in sales, future sales, hit. The stock market futures stop trading, okay? It opens, I think, at 9:30, and Democrats are playing politics in Washington, D.C., okay? Now, yesterday, if the Senate could have gotten something done and got it to the president's desk this morning, you would see the stock market probably in green, knowing we had a plan in place to come out the other end of this. There will be another end of this, but no, they didn't. Democrats are playing games. Now, why in the world would you want 4 months of unemployment benefits, 100% pay? And that never happens, 100% pay. Why would you want to sideline 30 million Americans? Just say, don't come back in the work. When the economy starts roaring, you're getting full pay at home, okay? There's things like that. So these people, while Americans were trying to get their money out of the stock market, their life savings, these millionaire politicians were profiting what I feel are insider trading. Let me say something about our Friday show. We have the amazing all-star political panel with Jane, Rick, and Bruce. I support my president 100%. I went a little political on a side because I wanted to stir that panel up, and I did. And they support their president, and so does America. We're going to take a break. When we come back, okay, when we come back, we're going to have Joeen DePlanky. She will be with us, and we're going to be talking about how stock market works. I don't really know. She might explain. We'll be back right after these messages with our next guest.
Circuit World has 9-piece living room packages at incredible prices. Get this stylish sofa and love seat, 3 tables, 2 lamps, 43-inch 4K TV, and stand, all for only $1699.99 or $129.99 a month. Or get this 9-piece living room and reclining sofa and reclining love seat, now only $1999.99 or $149.99 a month. These packages are amazing. Stop in today at one of our 5 locations and get the furniture you've always wanted at Circuit World.
I'm Jeff Riblett, President of Asset Protection Group. As a certified financial planner and with 20 years experience, I've helped thousands of families and business owners create a tremendous amount of wealth. Fortunately, most of that wealth has been protected. Don't allow an unforeseen life event, such as a nursing home stay or the next market meltdown, destroy your family's wealth. Be smart. Call me. Let's determine how best to protect your assets and preserve your wealth.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
It's been 4 generations of family ownership, tens of thousands of customers, and more Chevys than we'd ever be able to count. And more than 60 years later, when we say Days gets it done, we still mean it. With the North Georgia Mountains lowest Chevy prices, a huge selection, and outstanding customer care. See Days Chevrolet in Jasper, and let's get it done.
Days Chevrolet. Days gets it done.
Find new roads.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hey, folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. Listen, before we bring our next guest in, I want to set this up. Destiny, just listen to the phone calls. We are doing this from Studio B. Destiny is in another location. This is amazing. And we have our guest on with us. Before we bring her in, let me just say this, okay? Destiny, do me a favor. Our guest will be Joanne DePlanke. She will be with us. And, put number 2 up there. Now, I don't know the last time I have seen as many articles from CBS News, USA Today, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, on and on. I don't know when, AJC, when I have seen so many articles. Now, America is going through a trying time with a virus. Economically, things are, and I hate to use the word, collapsing around us. But while Americans are trying to get their life savings out of the stock market because it's all they have, there's several senators, we're going to focus on one because we're in Georgia, but there's several senators that may have had advance notice of what's going on. And I call it, they bet against America in selling their stock. Now, one being Kelly Loeffler. I call her Lucky Kelly, okay? Kelly, lucky in love. She was able to marry the CEO of the New York Stock Exchange, okay, and ICE, Intercontinental Exchange. Don't go deep into that. So then she, very lucky as Governor Brian Kemp thought she should be our next senator when she applied on the last day of the last hour available and became the candidate he thought was best. Interesting. We'll go into that at another time. And then she was able to use her House committee on health and a private, my words, maybe a private briefing, one of her committee assignments, and possibly sold stock on insider trading. I say possibly. And I can't wait to see what of her other assignments, committee assignments, become as fruitful for Senator Kelly Loeffler. That being said, I don't understand the stock market. When I say that, I understand it goes up, I understand it goes down, and I understand a little bit about short selling and one thing after another. My guest now, Joanne DePlanke. Joanne, how are you this morning?
I'm fine, Brian. How are you?
I'm good. Now, we have talked, you have read several of the articles. Can you give us a general firsthand feeling that you have about, let's stay focused on Senator Loeffler's stock transactions? Open up and tell us what you think about several of the articles you read and the statements she has made.
Okay, well, it'd probably be easiest if I sort of get a timeline of what happened and what the real problem is. But basically, I feel that Kelly Loeffler has violated the public trust. And those are specific words in the Stock Act. The Stock Act 2012 was passed specifically to prohibit insider trading by federal lawmakers or their spouses on information obtained in private and closed-door meetings, or to trade on any information not readily available to the public. And that was only passed in 2012 because before that, the people in Congress pretty much were exempt from the insider trading rules. So they could hear things in these meetings and then could trade. So this was specifically passed to prevent people from finding out things in these private meetings. So there was a White House briefing, a closed-door coronavirus briefing with the Trump administration officials on a Friday, January 24th. And from January 24th to February 26th, Kelly Loeffler or her husband made 29 transactions. And for those that you don't know, her spouse, as Brian just pointed out, is Jeffrey Preacher, who owns, not just runs, but owns the New York Stock Exchange and 12 commodity exchanges. Now, those 29 transactions were 27 sells and 2 buys. and totaled $1.2 to $3.1 million. Now, those don't include her ICE trades, which we'll get into in a minute. And one of those buys was Citrix, a technology company that just happens to offer teleworking software for working off-site. Imagine that. And that stock on February 27th was $103. On March 18th, it's now $130. Anyway, after several more closed-door meetings with the White House administration, including the NIH director and the CDC, on March 10th, Leffler released a video saying she was confident that the nation will have all medical testing we need and that there's no need to worry. Now, this video was after all the briefings and all her sell orders. Now, in her defense, Kelly Leffler claims all those trading decisions were made solely by investment managers. And that may be true of all the trades except ICE.
You're doing a timeline. I don't want it stopped. I want you to stay right there. You're doing a perfect job on a timeline. Let me just bring up a couple quick things, and then I'm going to give it back to you. Just here's some things I want you to think about. And this is from one article. Now, conservatives, you don't like the Daily Beast, so immediately you made a defense that the Daily Beast does not like a conservative. But this is from the Daily Beast, and then we also have from CBS News. You can pick from any article. Put up number 14 there, folks. Number 14, Senator Kelly Leffler of Georgia reported the first sale of stock jointly owned by her husband on January 24th, the very day her committee, the Senate Health Committee, hosted a private all senators briefing from administration officials, including the CDC director, Dr. Anthony Fauci, the head of the National Institute. And we know the little guy, the doctor there we see every day, Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. Okay, this is a couple clips, and then I'm going to give it back to Ms. DePlanke to finish up or continue the conversation. Give me number 15. Excuse me. This is from the article, Concerned About Coronavirus. She tweeted on March 10th, as you just said. I clipped these out just to back up what I knew you would probably say. March 10th. Remember this, the consumer is strong, the economy is strong, and the jobs are growing, which puts us in the best economic position to tackle the coronavirus, keep America safe. Well, I would hope she would have thought about that the day the trades went through. Couple more, and then we'll get back. Number 16, as it happens, okay, Senator Burr, you're hearing a lot of stuff about Senator Burr in North Carolina, what he did, 1.6 million or whatever in trades. As it happens, Burr and Leffler sat next to each other on the Senate floor during the chamber impeachment trial in January. Just a little point, and we're almost out of this. I want two more points. Number 17, Jeffrey Sprecher, or whatever his name is, who is the husband of the Republican U.S. Senator Kelly Leffler of Georgia, on February 26th, sold 3.5 million in shares of ICE. That's the Intercontinental Exchange, as the exchange is called, at an average price of $93.42 each, according to a filing with the Securities Exchange Commission. Since then, ICE shares have plunged nearly 25% amid a broader downdraft of stocks. Okay, back to you, Joanne, if you mind if I call you that. Back to you. I just wanted to highlight a couple things that are rolling, because her answer, one more thing, and I am going to give it back to you. Number one, amidst all this, Leffler's people have had her on Tucker Carlson, Janine Pinheiro, several shows to try to defend herself. Number one, let's put that up. Number one, her this is ridiculous and baseless attack. I do not make investment decisions for my portfolio. Investment decisions are made by multiple third-party advisors without my or my husband's knowledge or involvement. So coincidence, just got lucky, and basically this is her statement. And we're not supposed to ask any more questions. It's supposed to be case closed. Now I'm back to you, Joanne. I apologize for that. Take what your timeline and what I just highlighted and continue on.
Okay. anyway, I was saying that, as you just said also, that she claims that the trading decisions were made solely by investment managers. And, you know, that might be true. However, what did she tell her investment manager after that January 24th meeting to cause them to make all those trades? Or maybe I should state it another way. Why didn't she just walk out of that meeting that seems to have influenced her and called her investment managers and told them, do not trade in my account until I tell you otherwise? I mean, you can give direction to your investment manager. She doesn't have a blind trust. I've told mine things like do not buy tobacco stocks. Anyway, as someone with such large holdings, you know, you should do anything you can to avoid any appearance of impropriety. She should have put everything in a blind trust where she would have had no way to interfere and no knowledge of what she even owned. But she didn't. Just because she has an investment manager, she can still give them direction. So that's just a smokescreen to say my investment manager did it. Also, while her managers were selling everything, most other managers were buying. And I was personally watching the market. I stay glued to this, okay? So, I mean, trying to decide whether to buy or sell. And when I noticed that my investment manager was buying Boeing at 167, yet Leffler was selling. Now, I thought there was going to be much more downward pressure, so even after watching her video, and there was. But other people were buying based on the positive comments from people like Richard Burr and Kelly Loeffler, both of whom were privy to the real information from the White House.
Didn't Burr come out of that meeting and write an optimistic op-ed? Did he not do something like that, if memory serves me right, on one of the articles?
A glowing op-ed.
Right. He came out of that meeting, wrote a glowing op-ed, and
that same night he had a private meeting with an investment club and told them
yes,
that the market is going to tank. Okay, now that's the kind of, so whatever he was told in that meeting, she was in the same meeting and she sold. So while the little guy's buying, they were both selling huge amounts.
Well, let me ask you a direct question. I want to ask you a direct question. Not sorry to interrupt you, but with Loeffler coming out, you know, March 10th and Burr coming out and with a glowing article, as someone that trades in the market, much like yourself, you look at a lot of this stuff because you're a private citizen, obviously. You look at a lot of this stuff and you look around the whole thing, and that's how you get your information for you to make a decision. Is that not correct? So not particularly yourself, but maybe a Richard Burr article or something Kelly Loeffler said could have give you false hope in buying into the market or hanging on, correct?
Exactly, because I knew the senators that they were in a meeting with the White House, and so even though they might not want to tell us too much positive, or for that matter, too much negative, all right, but they were in the meeting. Now, if I was in a meeting at the White House where they told me some really negative stuff, yes, I don't want to scare the market, and yes, I don't want to scare the people. I don't want to cause a panic.
Right.
All right. But if I knew that things were bad, I wouldn't be doing a positive video. Okay?
Right.
I wouldn't be out there trying to suck more people in. However, do you realize you can't sell stock if there aren't buyers on the other side? You know, there has to be someone to buy the stock. So you've got to pump up the market if you want to sell your stuff.
And you have to be there at the right time. You can put your stuff up for sale. I mean, I don't mean to simplify it, but you know, if you put your stuff up for sale out on the front yard, if nobody comes by and buys it, the price is the price. So in the stock market, somebody still has to buy it. So if you sell at a time and you're the buyer on the other end, you know something that the other person doesn't know. I'm just saying the whole thing seems misleading. Now, let me do one more thing, and I want to keep into this because I want to give me number 18 because this is interesting to me. Number 18, Sprecher, if that's his name, and Loeffler on March 11th sold another. Now 10th at 10. Now here's the interesting thing. March 10th is when she did the optimistic kind of, to me, cheerleading video, correct? Okay. On March 11th, the following day after that video, it's all over the online, sold another 15.3 million worth of ICE shares, upping the sell-off of the exchange shares to nearly 19 million so far this year. Those sales, which include 75,000 shares that were owned solely by Loeffler, have not yet been reported to the Senate. She has 30 days to disclose transactions. Now, there's another thing, and I want you to find the quote out there, but Joanne, I think you read it also, that when you join the Senate, let's keep in mind, we're March. This woman's not been a senator 90 days, and these activities that are going on that she claims a third party did, let's keep the perspective, these have happened in the first like 5-6 weeks of this woman being a senator.
Right.
And wait, let me just say one more thing. When you go to the Senate, I do have it in the article. You can find this. When you go to the Senate, you have to do a disclosure. You have to do a financial disclosure. Joanne, am I correct in the article that she applied for an extension on her financial disclosure, so they actually don't have all of her assets right now in the Senate? Am I correct?
That's my understanding also.
Right. She filed an extension. So we truly don't know the numbers yet.
Okay, well, let me get into the ICE shares, because this is what proves that she acted, at least in my opinion, on this information. So both Kelly and her husband are majority shareholders and principals in the company.
Right.
Okay. Jeffrey actually founded the company. Kelly married into it.
Correct.
The SEC has very strict rules regarding insider trading and the avoidance of the appearance of insider trading. Okay. They created Rule 10b-5-1 just for this kind of situation, when major stockholders, people who own 10% or more, want to sell. And under Rule 10b-5-1, when directors and other major insiders in the company and large shareholders have access to material non-public information, MNPI, okay, they must set up a written plan that details when they can buy or sell shares at a predetermined time on a scheduled basis.
Mm-hmm.
Because both Kelly and Jeffrey are major stockholders in ICE, they had to set up a plan to sell in accordance with 10b-5-1, which requires them to wait 30 days. The meeting where the material non-public information was discussed was on Friday, January 24th. So the first thing on Monday, January 27th, Kelly and Jeffrey created a plan under the 10b-5 rule to sell millions of dollars of ICE stock in 30 days. Then they sold 15.3 million, or approximately 170,000 shares, on February 26th, which would have been the first day they would have been allowed to sell. Now, isn't that amazing that on February 26th? Now, on January 27th, when they filed this, the Dow was at 28,535. On February 20th, it was at 29,220. Wish I had Karl Rove's whiteboard, but picture this. During this 30 days, the stock market is soaring and everything is still rosy for us common people, because we don't know all that she found out back on the 24th of January. People at the top, like Loeffler and Burr, know the other shoe is about to drop and are getting out. The billionaires are dumping, but us unsuspecting sheep, we're listening to the "it's going to be okay" messages and are still slowly buying. So, okay, the pitch on February 26th, the first day they could sell ICE under the 10b-5-1 rule, they immediately sold. The market was already starting to fluctuate and was going down, and it was now at 26,958. They now have done all those other 27 trades, and plus now their ICE shares. If they could have sold on January 27th, if the 10b-5-1 rule hadn't existed, think how much they would have made. I mean, significantly more. Now, Friday, March 20th, the Dow closed at 19,174. Wouldn't it have been nice to have had their insight? So,
all right, I got a couple direct questions that I want to ask. And obviously you've given the audience some great information, folks. These are dates, times, stock market up, down. But Joanne, what I want to ask directly, let me go into straight up opinion now. As a trader yourself, as a stock market, as someone involved in the stock market, and you have a broker, do you feel there's a way they are totally unaware of what took place?
Well, okay.
Now, I don't want to be fair to Kelly Loeffler. I haven't been fair so far, so why start now? So I said I just haven't, when I say I am upset on several levels with the governor and Loeffler. But right now, during this financial crisis that people are losing their 401k, losing their life savings, trying to find it, can you find any way to say that it's possible Kelly knew nothing and was just going through day to day?
Do you think they just decided on January 27th out of the clear blue to file this 10b5 to sell all their stock?
No, and I don't believe there's a broker out there that bright. And I'm sorry to brokers if you're listening this morning. Some of you do a great job for your clients, and I'd like to know who you are. But that's some pretty darn good insight, is it not, Joanne?
Yes, but I want to make one. This will also help with the listeners, because I feel she's totally violated the public trust. She knew better. Martha Stewart went to prison because she answered her phone one day, and a longtime trusted friend that had suggested she invest in his company years earlier called and said she should sell.
But when he said she should sell, Martha followed that. But my understanding is Martha did not realize he had inside trading information and passed it along.
Yes, she did. I mean, she should have. He was the president and CEO of the company.
Okay.
Probably didn't ask why. She just picked up.
All right, I get it.
Called her investment advisor to sell. He made a whopping $66,000 profit on that trade and was sentenced to 1 year in federal prison and served 5 months.
Alderson, West Virginia.
Yeah, she probably never thought about SEC trading rules. Martha Stewart wasn't a major shareholder in that company, but she went to prison because she should have understood that you can't trade on information that the public doesn't have. It's that simple, okay? So whether Martha Stewart understood that or not as a houseware mogul, but Kelly and Jeff own 12 commodity exchanges, and Jeffrey owns the New York Stock Exchange, and they both fully understand the ramifications of trading after a White House briefing. They knew exactly what they were doing. They just think we're too stupid to understand. She put protection of her money first, and is that who you want representing you in the great state of Georgia in the Senate? And I'm not trying to do a campaign thing, and I really wanted to like Kelly Loeffler, but she's done one thing after another that just doesn't sit well with me, and I think she needs to immediately resign just because of how this looked, or Governor Kemp needs to ask for her resignation, because this is not a little matter. She betrayed our trust.
No, when you read articles, and I don't want to be pessimistic. I want to have hope. I watched the president yesterday. I have hope this morning, and I love my country, and I will not bet against my country. But as we are wondering where our next paycheck, Americans are wondering where the next paycheck comes from. This lady lives in I'm a capitalist. I'm fine with it, Joanne. She lives in a $10.5 million home on the wealthiest road in Georgia, Tuxedo Lane or whatever it is, right down there in Atlanta. $10.5 million. Went and made a joke to as far as buying a Kia. She went and bought a Kia to try to act like she was one of us, I guess. And then at the same time, she went over and bought another private plane. That's their third. I'm fine with rich people and making money, but I guess what I'm saying is what you said. That's what they do 7 days a week. They know it better than anybody, and they know there's not this kind of coincidence. If somebody that owned a football franchise that have never done anything like this before could probably come out and say, you know what, my broker third remove did this and I had no idea. But that's what these people do 7 days a week for a living, right?
Yeah, and that's like, Dianne Feinstein was in that same meeting, and her stuff supposedly is in a blind trust, which I've been trying to research blind trust, and you don't know what's in it, but it doesn't say that you can't talk to the person running it. You just don't know what's in it. So you could have called the person running it, I think, and told them sell, even though you don't know what you're selling, okay? So I'm not sure Dianne Feinstein's ahead of this either, or out of it.
No, we're not leaving them out. We're definitely not, folks out there. We do realize there's right now 4 that we're aware of, Richard Burr in North Carolina. We are in Georgia, and just to kindly get this wrapped up, we watched Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, tell us that he was opening the window and anybody can apply to be the next senator. And Loeffler is the luckiest millionaire on earth because, first of all, she got lucky in love, but then on the last day of the last hour to accept applications, she put hers in, and Brian Kemp thought it was amazing, and now she's the senator. And within 2 months, 60 days of being senator, she has already used her position possibly to benefit herself financially while going out and saying Georgia values. And I that's what I got to say, Joanne. What say you before we close this up?
Well, on the selection originally as the senator, I'd like to think, I realize she didn't apply to the last minute, but I'd like to think that he didn't make a decision on something that was that important on such a, little bit of, so I have a feeling that I'd like to think that they'd been talking about it for a long time.
Well, I wrote an article, that a couple weeks ago, right in tune. Did they have a deal? So that's out there. This is out there. I agree with you. I'm going to ask. I have publicly. And Joanne, our business, the way our business is set up, I have to keep a view on all social media. And I am just not off my chair of the establishment Republicans that are defending this woman. You should have seen. I made some posts this weekend. I put some posts up. They are attacking me. I asked some of them, hey, how much are you getting paid to defend this woman? And, their answer is, how much are you getting paid? And I'll look at you at the camera, zero, absolutely nothing. And I think, I tell you every day, it's not I'm endorsing Doug Collins. I have a problem with what the governor did. Joanne, I'm just blown away at the people that are defending this lady on the Republican side.
Well, I don't see how the stock trades are defensible, and there's not that much coincidence. It just, you just cannot. The timing, especially the filing of that report the next morning to sell that much ICE stock, with the market soaring and everything rosy, yet they knew otherwise, and that just eats at me that somebody like this is my senator.
Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I do want to get something else I want to get your opinion on a couple more things, because at 9:30, folks, we had Congressman Doug Collins. Now we're talking about stock market, and at 9:30, we're going to be talking to Georgia House Speaker David Ralston. So we have a really great show this morning, bringing information. Joanne, how do you feel the president's doing? Have you been watching his press conferences? Are you optimistic on the other side of this coronavirus? What say you?
Personally, I'm very optimistic. I mean, I realize this is very serious, and I think we still have more sort of negative or downturn to go, not just in the market, but in these cities and states where it is so widespread. But I do think that most people are starting to really hunker down when, you don't see anybody anywhere, and it is going to be much harder to spread it. So once we get the people that are already infected under control, and naturally there's still going to be some more cases, because apparently you can transmit this before you have symptoms. But people are listening, and the only real problem is financially. All of these people that work for the small businesses, we can't destroy our country. And I think what the president and Mnuchin are coming up with will get us through this if people can just hunker down.
Well, I think what you're saying there, you're correct. You're going down the right direction. Is people need to know what could be at the other end of this. Is it a total financial collapse and small businesses close and you're going to go through small town America? As you well know, where we're at, there's been a lot of great work done in the last 10 years. Agritourism, revitalizing our small communities, stores, one thing after the other. And I think we both know we don't want to lose that. So you're thinking if we get something passed, that will bring optimism back, that when we flush this out of the system, we're going to take off and get back to work?
Well, on your All-Star panel Friday, Jane happened to mention that she thinks that it's going to be a V in the market. And I've seen that also on several people that have been on CNBC or Bloomberg or whatever. And I also truly believe that when it starts up, it's going to go up fast. And that's why people have been trying to sell and get out on the way down. Now, if you sold at the top, you're fine. But if you've been trying to sell on the way down, you're not going to be able to get back in. I don't think it's going to be a slow rise. We're going to have some more bumpy days, so you can't jump in like right now. The futures are, up 257 for the open. That's minuscule this day and age. But I just think that we have to stay positive, and we will get through this because it's not a financial crisis. It is hurting us financially.
A health crisis.
It's not that the bank went
right
under like happened in 2008. The banks are the most cash-rich and positive companies out there. They're the only ones with money right now.
Well, if this package they're working on, if it's done correctly, it could have the encouragement necessary for the banks to help us get this engine running again. And that has to be the end all, because this was an amazing economic engine that was running purring like a kitten, if you want to put it that way, and strong. So it's ready to come back. We just need some things to get the engine running. I'm going to have to end it because of my next guest and the time. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. Could you please keep up with the Leffler and the market? And let me say publicly on the air, so if you were to give me a stock tip, that's not insider trading, right? So, but
not unless I gave you a tip in a company I owned, and I don't own any. So
there you go. That was pretty simple. Thank you. I think you really walked a lot of us through what the appearance of what happened is out there. And obviously you stated what you think should happen. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it if you would just continue to read and follow that, and maybe come back later in the week and we can continue to follow this up. Joey, you have a great day. I can't thank you enough for joining us and sharing that information.
You too. Thank you.
All right, folks, that was amazing. I mean, I'm going to tell you the president of the United States is not selling or buying stock. He just said, I'm not selling or buying stock. I'm not doing that. Okay. I think Senator Leffler should have come out, just like Joanne said, and called the broker. You don't tell him anything. You say, I want no trades until further notice. Leave it alone. Maybe that would have panicked the broker. I don't know, but still yet, if you look at the dates, you look at the time, you look at the amounts, and that's what these people do for a living 7 days a week. And keep it in mind, this lady did it in a 60-day window. She filed an extension, my understanding, for her full stock portfolio to be exposed to the Ethics Commission and Senate Ethics Committee. I don't know. You look it up, read it. Hey, I'm your host, BKP. We're going to take a break, and at exactly 9:30, we're going to come back And we're going to have Georgia House Speaker David Ralston with us to round out the show. We'll talk about Georgia, what's happening in North Georgia, maybe our healthcare system. He can give us a little more detail on that. So we'll be right back at 9:30. Georgia House Speaker David Ralston. Take us a break.
Circuit World has 9-piece living room packages at incredible prices. Get this stylish sofa and love seat, 3 tables, 2 lamps, 43-inch 4K TV, and stand, all for only $1699.99 or $129.99 a month. Or get this 9-piece living room and reclining sofa and reclining love seat, now only $1999.99 or $149.99 a month. These packages are amazing. Stop in today at one of our 5 locations and get the furniture you've always wanted at Circuit World.
I'm Jeff Riblett, President of Asset Protection Group. As a certified financial planner and with 20 years experience, I've helped thousands of families and business owners create a tremendous amount of wealth. Fortunately, most of that wealth has been protected. Don't allow an unforeseen life event, such as a nursing home stay or the next market meltdown, destroy your family's wealth. Be smart. Call me. Let's determine how best to protect your assets and preserve your wealth.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
It's been 4 generations of family ownership, tens of thousands of customers, and more Chevys than we'd ever be able to count. And more than 60 years later, when we say Days gets it done, we still mean it. With the North Georgia Mountains lowest Chevy prices, a huge selection, and outstanding customer care. See Days Chevrolet in Jasper, and let's get it done.
Days Chevrolet. Days gets it done.
Find new roads.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge, we have your new house in stock.
Okay, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. We are North Georgia's only live online morning show. It's been an awesome show this morning, and we are happy to have our next guest here at 9:30. Go a little different direction, same subject, but we're going to stay in the state of Georgia. And joining me now, Georgia House Speaker and also State Representative, 7th District, Mr. David Ralston. Mr. Speaker, are you there?
I'm here, Brian. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you too, sir. Thank you for coming on. Now, let's start on the side of our healthcare providers in the state. I know you are probably tuned in to the governor's task force and getting information on a daily basis in certain areas of the state. We got a really hot spot in Albany, but right here in North Georgia, there is one case in Dawson. What, as far as the state healthcare providers, can you share with us as far as where we're at?
Well, first of all, our healthcare providers are doing an amazing job of dealing with a number of cases that literally now are all over the state. So I think you have to begin by just giving them a great shout out for an amazing job that they're doing serving Georgians. You know, Brian, we're in a very we're in uncharted waters here. We've been working every day monitoring the situation and looking at all of the ways that we can deal with this problem. My concern this morning is that we are rapidly reaching a tipping point on this crisis. If you look at the data and some of the modeling that's out there, you've got some very astute medical people who are saying that literally the next day or two or three at most are going to be very, very critical in terms of the demands on our healthcare system. We're going to see, we're likely to see a large increase in the number of cases. And unfortunately, we're probably going to see the death toll go up here in the state, and so we're at a very we're at a challenging point in this, and I think we all have to realize this is a serious threat. It's not one to brush off, and we all need to approach it that way.
Well, Mr. Speaker, and that being said, I couldn't agree more. I mean, as far as medical professionals, I have counseled with several here in North Georgia and a couple that you know of. This is, and I don't want to use the word critical. Well, I'm going to. This is a critical week. This is the week where, and I'm not going to say we're nowhere near from this being over, but this is a critical week where numbers spike. They told us that last week. We're going to see the death toll go up. Let me ask you candidly, how do you feel the president and the federal government is working with the state of Georgia? Do you feel good with the relationship and how they're responding to our needs here in Georgia?
I think the president is doing a great job of responding to our needs here. I'm disappointed in the Congress. I was very, very disappointed in the lack of action by the U.S. Senate yesterday and getting a relief package passed that would help working families, not only in Georgia but all across the country. So I would give good marks to the president and not so good marks to the Congress.
Let's talk about small business for a minute. You're in the 7th district, and I know you know a lot of the small business owners in several of the towns, whether it's Dawson, whether it's Gilmer and Fannin. You know a lot of those business leaders. The members of the chamber. Our position here as the CEO of FetcherNews.com is the safety, health, and welfare of our people. So I sent out a email. We had a meeting last Monday, just bringing you and everybody else up. We had a meeting last Monday, and we dispersed after that. And then last night I sent out an email asking everybody in our company to voluntarily self-quarantine so their safety, and we don't take the chance of adding on. But that being said, hey, I have concerns about my small business, but my people are first. And small business, our people are like family, and you know that. And so what do you think the state is going to be able to do, the federal government? What do you think we're going to be able to do on the other side of this when we have to get back to work financially, or what help we'll be able to get?
Well, first of all, let me say that I have been in constant contact with small business owners in the 7th House District over the last 2 or 3 weeks, actually. I got up this morning and started calling people I know that are in business in the district before 7 o'clock to kind of get their assessment of where we are. We've had some good economic times in the district, a lot of growth. The cabin rental industry has really, really grown. Restaurants have prospered. A lot of good things going on. You hate to have that interrupted, but by the same token, the health and lives of the employees have to be our first concern, and they're my first concern. And so, I'm hoping that we're going to get some relief from the federal government to go with what we may or may not be able to do at the state level to help people in what we hope will not be a long period of time, but help them bridge the gap. But I think the important thing that we have to focus on today and in the next 24 to 48 hours is we have to focus on the medical piece of this, and we have to keep people from being exposed. And so, you know, I would support, even though it's a pretty drastic measure, I would support Governor Kemp if he chooses to issue an order requiring non-essential workers to remain home for another 10 days, 2 weeks, to see if we can flatten this curve a little bit. I think that you hate to contemplate a shutdown because you know it's going to cause economic pain, and it's going to cause economic pain to people that I know, people that I care about. But I would prefer that over, you know, hearing of them becoming very ill or dying.
Well, you know, Mr. Speaker, yes, I would support that also, and that is one of the reasons I want to say this, because we get a little. Sometimes when we look at having faith in the government, let me just go past that. But as a CEO of a small business, I took the position. I've watched every press conference every day, and I think you know me. President comes on TV, I'm gonna watch press conference, and I have. And by hearing what President Donald Trump has said, and yourself, you know, I felt good in making the decision, and I hope other business leaders out there, I know the position you're in, you will feel good too, that the only way I can put it is you guys are not going to forget about us, and I can be comfortable saying the best interest is my people, which I should. And when we get through this, you guys, and I say this, the state legislature, the governor, the president of the United States, you're going to do everything you can to get the economic engine turning again, right?
Absolutely. And the sooner we come out of this crisis, then the sooner we can get back to working on the economy. You know, we're going to have some lasting effects from this, Brian, for quite some time through the state's budget. Is going to take a hit. But, you know, we can work through those kind of things. You know, we've got to take care of the health and safety of our citizens, but we also have to be. We're going to be mindful of keeping policies in place that will help your business and all the others in the 7th House District and all around the state. You know, get through this with as little disruption as is possible, but knowing that, you know, everybody is going to have to hitch it up and deal with this issue, and deal again, as I said before, with the medical part.
Well, a couple quick things, and I appreciate your comments, because unity is what we need right now, not division. And I went through the grocery store the other day right up here in Blue Ridge, and about everybody I would pass, I would look at them and say, we're in it together. And that's just the bottom line, and that's how we have to approach this. Several Senate members, or several Senate members that have tested, state Senate members that have tested positive, several in self-quarantine due to that. Can you speak to the House side, the state House side, as far as how many representatives are tested positive, and what are some of the things going on there?
Well, I was very pleased, you know, last week when this crisis took started becoming very real and quick, we took some precautions in the State House. We suspended the page program. We suspended guests from being on the floor of the House. We encourage people to watch our session, the live stream, as opposed to being there in person. We encouraged our members to seek out medical care if they felt it necessary. So I'm pleased to say that as of today, we do not have, to my knowledge, although this is a rapidly changing situation, to my knowledge, we do not have a single House member who has been confirmed. We have one test pending, but we don't have a single House member that's been has tested positive. And I think there's been 4 members of the Senate, and of course they had the little issue on the day of the special session.
Yes, that Monday,
a week ago today, where a member who had been tested on Saturday came to the Capitol and participated in the session before he had gotten his test results back. Now, I know we need to be unified, and I know that we are all in this together, but we have to discourage that kind of reckless and irresponsible behavior. And that's, to me, that's clearly what that was. So, right now, 4 members of the Senate have tested positive out of 56. We're waiting on 1 test in the House, and we have 180 members. We took some very precautionary measures last week, because it was my view then, as it is now, that it is better to err on the side of caution, and it is better to overreact, such as maybe shutting down non-essential positions or services or stores in the state. And if we overreact, thank God we overreact.
well, Mr. Speaker, in Georgia, some of the Midwestern states and other areas, but in Georgia right now, we're getting pretty close to. We all have an acquaintance somewhere throughout the state that has either tested positive or has been around somebody who's tested positive, and that's where it's at. So I can't agree with you anymore. And that's, again, another one of the reasons why I took my position with our company was we don't know who we're talking to now and where they've been and, where they could have been that's infected. Let me switch to one more thing, and I hope you're not on a hard break here. We didn't discuss how much time you have. I hope I'm not pushing you too long, sir.
No, good.
Healthcare in Georgia. Now, this may be, and obviously for several years, rural healthcare, hospitals closing in Georgia has been a concern. And I know you and other lawmakers in Atlanta have been working every year, every session to try to change that, fix it, may I say. But you look at the hotbed in Albany, and if you just go outside Albany, it's very rural. Up here in North Georgia, we have some very good hospitals. We have a county that doesn't have a hospital that closed, but we do have good medical facilities, but they're limited in the services they can provide. The reality is this bringing a whole new focus on hey, we need to look at our rural hospitals and healthcare in rural areas across Georgia?
Well, there's no doubt about that it is, although that is something that we have been looking at. We're still looking at it. I'm fearful that we're going to find out if this crisis reaches the proportion that some suggest that it may in the next few days, that our rural hospitals are going to be overwhelmed beyond capacity. That's going to be a situation that, I don't even want to contemplate what that would mean. We have taken some measures. We took some last session by making some significant modifications in the Certificate of Need law. And one other measure we took this session, we took it on crossover night. which was to broaden the scope of what nurse practitioners can do in Georgia, because in many communities, and particularly in rural communities, nurse practitioners are on the front lines of medical care. And we have been the most restrictive of all 50 states in allowing them to do certain functions. And we took some of those restrictions off just week before last. That obviously that bill will have to go through the Senate when we go back into session, and I hope it does. But that's the kind of measure that we're going to have to look at, and look at this in ways that we've not been required to do in the past.
Mr. Speaker, we in your district here, House Seat 7, which folks out there, that's Fannin County, Gilmer County, and a portion of Dawson County, we have seen empty grocery shelves, and not making light of the toilet paper and so on, but we have empty grocery shelves. We have empty shelves with sanitary needs. We have empty shelves with disinfectants, one thing after another. Can you tell the people, are we okay on our food supply? Are we okay on sanitary things that we need? Will the stores be restocked? And do you have information on that? Are we okay where that's concerned?
I think we're going to be. I know that Commissioner Gary Black at the Department of Agriculture has been very proactive in terms of the work that they're doing to make sure that our food supply stays strong in the state. We have had issues with sanitary supplies, but we've got a lot of creative people in Georgia that are doing things that I think are going to be very beneficial. For example, we have in Atlanta a distillery that has now converted part of its operation from distilling liquor to making hand sanitizers. And they're actually giving it away. They do want you to make a contribution if you can, but they've converted that operation over in a major way. We have businesses that are sewing the mask that people are wearing. And interestingly enough, this morning I talked with an individual in Fannin County who reminded me that we have facilities in Fannin County that are ready, willing, and able to that effort. And so that's the kind of spirit I think that we have, not only in our district but across the state, that's going to help us get through this situation.
Well, I do think, and I appreciate you bringing that up. I do think everybody in every way is stepping up in their own way to the challenge, and that's exciting to see Americans do when we get to where we have to, take care of one another. Let me ask you just two more things. We'll close, and thank you for staying with us. Do you think there's a side of this to where it has opened people's eyes, and that on the bright side of this, and let's we got to say there's going to be a bright side on the other side of this, that maybe more of manufacturing does come home. Maybe more people say we need to be able to be self-sustained in so many different things. Do you think this is also eye-opening to many people?
Oh, I think so. I think there's once we get on the other side of the curve, I think that we need to draw lessons from this, and manufacturing is certainly up near the top of the list of things that we can do to be more self-sufficient and not rely imports on some of these supplies that we need and we're going to need more of. That's certainly one of the things that I think we can take from this after it's over. My concern again, and I can't emphasize this enough this morning, is we have got to flatten the curve. We have got to push the curve down, and in doing so, I think that we will speed up our ability to get to a recovery, and we will save lives and save people's health. I think that the most effective way to do that is to get away from the voluntary quarantine and go to a mandatory quarantine, at least for a couple of weeks. It doesn't have to be a long, protracted process, but I think that keeping people away from opportunities to be exposed is the most effective way that we can deal with this. I mean, look, I've looked at what's happened in other countries: China, South Korea, Italy. Look at Italy, for example. Took very, very few precautions, and they're dying by the hundreds every day there. South Korea jumped on this early with some mandatory guidelines, and they're as I understand, either are on the other side of the curve or about to be.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I appreciate it. Let me say this to you, and I'm being respectful. I said this to my congressman, okay? And the only reason I'm doing this is because people out there all across this country, your congressman, your state representative, like ours here, Mr. David Ralston. Let me talk to you as my representative, and you know all too well. I just wanted to put it out there. Small business is the backbone of this country, and
absolutely,
it takes us years. You know my business. You know the businesses in your district. It takes us years to assemble the quality team and the quality people, whether it's servers, dishwashers, no matter who it is. It takes us for years to assemble those teams. And when we do, we see them as family. And to us, we're going through something and we're asking our family, the people that work for us, to hang on, let's do the right thing. So the only thing I can say, and all due respect, when we hear of trillions of dollars and we hear the airlines, and I understand what has to get the economic engine turning, but we're the ones that we don't want forgotten, and that's all we ask.
Well, and I can assure you that I haven't forgotten and won't forget, because I know I know my friends are in small business. I have to tell you, the ones I've talked with over the last couple of weeks have their attitude has just been it's just been amazing, that they have said, look, we all may have to hurt economically in the short term, but that's better than losing a family member, a friend, or watching them suffer with this horrendous virus. And that's what we have to keep in our mind. This virus is a killer, and it is a horrific killer, and we have to get on top of it and do what we need to do. And as I said, if we overreact, thank God we overreacted. That's my view, and that's going to continue to be my view.
Is there anything right now in Georgia that small businesses can check into, start reading up on, or look into right now in Georgia?
Well, we're going to be putting some things out on our Facebook page about some opportunities. We have tried to share some links to the Small Business Administration website for loans. I know that people oftentimes don't want to go that route, and I certainly understand that. I think we'll be in a better position to share more substantive information when Congress finally gets its act together and passes the final part of this relief package. And I certainly hope that they will get that done today. They should have done it yesterday, but that it's vital that get done.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to close with this. Can you do me a favor? I don't ask much. Can you do me a favor and get a message to the president? Tell him that if he will help us retain our people, we will help him turn this economic engine back on full force. How about that?
You got it.
There you go. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Appreciate you coming and opening up to the people of Georgia and across the country and the 7th District. Thank you. Stay safe and let us know if any way we can be of help, sir.
Thank you, Brian.
All right. Appreciate it. Okay. We're going to close with that. It is 10 o'clock. What an amazing morning. When I get up in the morning, I do say, you know, we have times we come in here and we horse around and we have fun and we play and I get silly and call people names. I understand all that. I get all of that. But right now, my number one goal is always be able to come and bring you information. And I tell you what, we've done that today, and we hope you've enjoyed it, and we hope it's been a help. And don't forget, put our logo back up to find us on social media. Now, we're running just a minute over 10. That's our phone number right there. That's our email address right there. That's the ways you can follow us social media. So if we can help, if we can announce something, if we can do something for you, you contact us. Let Fetch Your News, FYN TV, be a part of the community we serve. We're out. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.